So tonight's conversation, our first live, second
Yes.
time is a charm.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And our first live is this. I came up with a question in early December when they announced that Taylor Swift is the person of the year. And we all know because of the touring and also her romance with Travis Kelsey. He is cute though. And all of that stuff and all the media attention and even through Forbes, I don't know if you've seen Angela that the money that she made from that tour. But I was
Hmm.
just thinking, like, because they did her, and then they did I cannot think of, do you know the gymnast that Simone Biles?
Simone Biles. Hmm.
They named her AP, the Associated Press named her the athlete of the year. So I said, all
Hmm.
this person of the year, if there was a person of the year for opera, who would it be and why? And so that's why I, came up with this idea to do our first live. And this is really an opening into the platform, the new platform, Juicy Interludes, which is another channel, and it is continuously developing. So I'm so happy to have our wonderful diva podcast host, Miss Angela Renee Simpson. And I have a question for you, Angela. My question,
Okay.
I know you're the host, but I have a
Hmm.
question for you.
Hmm.
If you were to name for 2023 opera, it was a lot of stuff going on in opera. But what
Right.
do you think was like the prevailing theme of opera? If you were to name something,
The theme for 2023.
the theme for 2023.
Uh oh yeah, you put me in the spot. Let me see. Theme for 2023 for opera. Question mark. Question mark.
Yes, it was a time of uncertainty.
Yeah, yeah. I'll put a
It was
big old
uncertainty.
question mark. It would be a big question mark on the cover, whatever it was. Big old question mark right there.
What is it going?
Um,
What's going to happen?
yeah, what's
What's
gonna
it going
happen?
to be?
The turnout isn't as it used to be.
Mm.
The turnout, for tickets, we've seen companies put tickets, orchestra tickets on sale
Oh my
because
gosh, you brought that up,
yes, well, but
girl.
trying to get people in the seats.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, but I know I've had it in conversation. The COVID, COVID, everyone was locked down. We couldn't go anywhere, so
Mm.
everything was kind of handed to us. You know what I mean? From groceries to dinner
Yeah,
to everything, movies, everything was on stream. You couldn't go to movie theaters, so they brought it. You would pay for it, but you could still watch it in front of your computer or your home in your living room.
yeah.
So my take is on this. I think you have those people who love live entertainment who cannot do without it, being in the midst, being in the theater, seeing it live. I think those
Mm.
people came back with a vengeance. But then you had those people who got used to having it brought to them.
Mm-hmm.
It does when you're sitting at home and for 2 years, really, like for 2 years, and then you have to get dressed up, not dressed up to go to the opera, but get dressed, get in your car, do all this, and but
Yeah.
it's kind of like, do I want to do all that? And pay a ticket to get, and usually there's a dinner involved or drinks beforehand or after, and it
Mm-hmm.
becomes a long night. So some people, maybe they thought twice about doing that. Was it worth it to them? you
Well,
know
I saw people that did go for the first time
hmm
when I went to see the Life and Times of Malcolm X.
hmm
It was so amazing because the couple that was sitting next to me, they were like, "Excuse me, have you been here before? You look like you've been here before." I said, "Yes." And I was just showing them. I told them welcome, showing them the captions, how that
hmm
worked
hmm
and stuff. And um, yeah, I had that experience, and then I had an experience when I went to see, what was it? Dead Man Walking. The
hmm
person who was sitting next to me, she said, "Girl, this is my second time I'm here." She's like, "Let me tell you what's gonna happen." Gonna happen. And see, when you're backstage, backstage at the Met and you're doing work of any
Hmm.
kind, you
Hmm.
you hear it,
Hmm.
especially in the library. You
Right.
hear it, but you don't see it.
Hmm.
So, yeah, she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what had happened." So I think that a lot of first timers did come because
Hmm.
of the I think the prevailing theme is the shift to contemporary opera. I think with the contemporary stuff, people did show up, but their marketing was on blast. And not just the Met. I'm talking about larger opera companies like San
Hmm.
Francisco Opera.
Hmm.
If I don't know if you look at their social media, their stuff look like, remember back in the day when they used to, I don't know if they still do it now, but they had the Broadway shows and they would have for marketing asking the people who went to the show what it was like. Did they
Yeah.
like it?
Hmm.
That's what I saw a lot of that for opera this year,
Hmm.
this season,
Hmm.
for contemporary stuff.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Well, a lot of the contemporary was African American
and Spanish.
in Spanish. It was,
Yeah. Oh
but
yeah,
it
but
was
yes,
most of it
predominant.
was African. Most of it was African American, and then we had the new production at the Met, and the Spanish production at the Met. But I'm not just talking about Fire. I'm talking about Omar.
Oh
Yeah,
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 Omar was
yeah.
beautiful. Now I didn't see
Omar.
the first. I
Again,
saw it online.
Champion.
Yes.
Malcolm X, and these have been done in numerous, especially major houses. They've been performed. Um, yeah, so yeah, the new something contemporary, something new, something different. It's gonna bring new people, new faces, new in the seats. We got to keep find a way to keep them. Got to find a way to keep them.
Yeah. 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 So
And
you agree? Do you agree with that thing where there's? So I saw it online twice, and they're saying that 90% of the people that come for the first time they don't come back. Was
yeah,
it 90%? Okay.
yeah, I
Mhm.
think so. They don't come back because of many factors. I think it's still
It's okay. We live. It's
I'm
all right.
okay. It's
I
it's
got
many
family out there eating pizza too.
right.
They're like, "Don't get this pizza." I said, "I can't do that right now. I can, but I'm not gonna do it."
Right. It's many factors. It's some people don't feel comfortable. Some people don't. Some of the patrons don't let new people feel comfortable. Not all of them, but
Mm,
some of them. Some don't know the protocols. They don't know when to applaud, when to not clap, not to not applaud. It's a whole bunch of different things. So some people may not know the story. How do they figure out the story? Like you said, those people were looking at the subtitles, didn't know how to figure out to look at the subtitles. So
yeah.
it's a whole bunch of different things that can have someone not return. And sometimes it's you're afraid to ask questions. You're afraid to ask people, because some people look at you, well, don't you know? Or and I'm not saying that's everybody, but some
Mhm.
of the people that I read about their experiences mentioned that other
Mhm.
people who are normal or typical opera goers weren't very friendly to the newcomers.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's sad. It's sad. But yeah,
It's
my thing would be question mark. Will opera
question mark.
survive? Will it go into 2024? Is it going to go into 2024 with a roar or a whimper?
Mm.
So
Mm. I don't know.
I don't
I
know
don't
either. I have no idea.
mm.
No idea.
I said
Um,
contemporary opera. I said that this was a season for contemporary. Now, contemporary opera's been in the forefront since
mhm,
2021,
yeah.
but like this season, like you were seeing it like everywhere.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
wasn't only, and this is the thing I said before, and I said this to you before, and you all will hear it in the podcast. A lot of the stuff that the larger companies are doing that I noticed, smaller companies been doing it.
Mhm.
They've been doing it. It's just that their smaller companies are locally known, and
Yeah.
that does not make them any less important.
Right.
They are
Exactly.
smaller in size,
Hmm.
but if you have a big company like the Metropolitan Opera do it, it does receive a little more attention because of the size
Hmm.
and the
Hmm.
marketing.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, I feel like they were kind of catching up.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
it's
They
been
got a lot
happening.
more catching up to do.
It's been happening. So to get to the headlines, there were a lot of headlines in 2023. I think two really stood out to me. The first one is really a good segue from what we were talking about, the fact that the Metropolitan Opera Guild is no more, or as they said, restructured.
Hmm.
And I think it's really sad because I think that it's important. I think you said this before when we were talking about bringing in newcomers and
Hmm.
it not only be concentrated to children, which
Hmm.
is great,
Hmm.
but I think
Yeah.
adults need something.
Yeah.
They
Yeah. We
need
need to
they
focus
need
on adults.
somebody. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I used to do. I used to speak for the guild
Mm-hmm.
and I really enjoy talking to people. People have really good questions. And like what you said, they want to feel welcome.
Hmm.
They need that informal setting where they
Hmm.
could ask
Right.
that formal setting, excuse me, that they could ask questions
Right. Right.
and be like, well, why is it such and such going on?
Right.
So I don't know
I
what's going to
think
happen.
I think that should be something that every house does. Like, like they have the talks
Mhm.
about the opera before. They should have protocols. Like people who are coming to the opera for the first time get to have this little get together
That's
beforehand
a great idea.
and say, ask your questions. Is there something, do can I clap after they sing? Can I, is it okay for me to get up to go to the restroom while the performance is going on? Um,
Mhm.
how can I? It's in a different language, so how do I know what's being said? In English. Where are the subtitles? Where are they located? The Met has theirs right behind the chair. Some people have theirs up in
On the
the rafters,
stage, yeah.
yeah, over the stage. So
Yeah.
what's the story about? Where can I find the story? Everything is in the program, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I think that every company should at least invest in something like that. If you're going to have talks are great. Talks about the opera are great, but those people who are coming for the first time, have a little event for them so they can feel comfortable when they walk in, so they have some
Mhm.
knowledge when they
Mhm.
walk in, you know
Mhm.
and they can enjoy it just as everyone else does. I think most companies should do that.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Hmm.
So hopefully they'll hear that out and do something
Yeah,
with
hopefully.
that.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Right.
And the next headline that I was so excited because I'm a huge Gustavo Dudamel fan,
Hmm.
and I was so excited to hear that he's coming to the New York Phil. He will be the New York Philharmonic's next music director.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that was officially, well, he'll be music director designate for 2025, 26, and then
Hmm.
2026, 27, he'll be the full blown director.
Hmm.
And I was so excited. Now, like I was saying, I know that people were like, "Well, what that got to do with opera? They ain't got anything to do with it." It
Hmm.
does
Yeah, it
because
does.
he ended up resigning from Paris
Harrison.
Opera,
Hmm.
and I think
Hmm.
that that had something to do with it because that's a huge responsibility. But
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, I was very excited. I think that that was a big headline. That's a
Hmm.
big musical chair,
Hmm.
and let me tell you, just from for him going to um, the New York Phil,
Hmm.
this very prominent family that donates money to the arts
Hmm.
donated 40 million to New York Phil.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, I gotta say this because Peter Gell, the general manager of the Met, was quoted saying that they are looking for really large donations
Hmm.
in order to survive. He said it.
Hmm.
And I said to myself, I said, I know when he saw that New York Phil got that 40 mil, I know he was like, damn.
Mm.
I
You
know he
missed
was
out
like,
on that one.
40 mil? Shoot.
Look,
You
people
know,
donate where they want to donate. There's nothing there's nothing you could do about that.
I know he
Um,
was, but
I
that's
know.
big. That's
I
a
think
big
that's
thing for classical music.
I think Dudamel coming to the Philharmonic is great news. Also, I don't I never really attended the Philharmonic unless it was a
Okay.
oratorio or something like that. I've never gone for just a symphonic piece. It was always had some either vocal piece, some vocal attachment to it, something like that.
Right.
So, but that yeah, that's a boon for the Philharmonic. Now, on a smaller scale, I just want to mention, this didn't make big headlines or anything like that, but
Hmm.
Charlotte Symphony has also procured their first African American conductor
Yes.
here in Charlotte. So
Yes.
I am very very excited about that,
I heard about that.
and I'm hoping to uh, get to see a couple of performances once he's there full time, and hopefully the African American community will be able to do that too. Get to go to the symphony,
Yes,
just to
absolutely.
listen. So I just wanted to put that little blurb out there. But let's get to our person of the year. Person
Hmm.
of
Let's get to the
the
person
year.
of the year. Who wants to go first?
I'll go
I'm
first. You
okay.
go first. You want to go first? Go ahead. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I'm gonna go first because you
Go ahead.
you're the host, so I'm I
Go
leave
ahead.
the
Go
last.
ahead. You go first.
All right, so my person of the year first it started with one, and I know Angela, you like, girl, that's just so obvious. I know you did, yeah, but and then I had to think about it again. So when I think of person of the year, I not only think about how or what they performed, but I
Mhm,
also think about the reach and the
mhm,
impact.
mhm,
And I know that social media is very big, or any type of cloud platform
mhm,
like YouTube is very big today.
mhm,
Whether we say it matters or not, Spotify as well. And that I think had a wonderful impact. And I believe this is just artistically is a tenor, American tenor that you mentioned to me. And I was
mhm.
like, I gotta see how this guy performs. I gotta see what she's saying. Victor Ryan Robertson.
Mm.
Now, this tenor he performed at Porgy and Bess, and it was in North Carolina, right? He did
Yes,
Sport and
he
Life,
did. Yes, he did. He did.
Sport and Life,
Mhm.
and he did that in two productions in North Carolina.
One was
And
Charleston. Charleston. He did the Spoleto Festival in Charleston, and
yes,
then
yes.
the Charlotte production here. Yeah.
So okay, Sport and Life is was fabulous. Okay, and
Mhm.
then I got to see him do Elijah Muhammad at the Metropolitan Opera.
And X.
And what I like about his artistry, he's able to move around on stage and he keeps his voice intact.
Mhm.
It was intact. And also shout out to the conductor and the cast of the Life
Mhm.
and Times of Malcolm X.
Mhm.
Everyone did a wonderful job. The conductor did a great job in keeping that orchestra balanced with the voices. You
Mhm.
could
Mhm.
hear everybody,
Mhm.
but he just stood out. He
Yeah.
stood out, and like I said,
Yeah.
wonderful voice. So that's number one,
Mhm.
Victor Ryan Robertson. My second one is Michael Spires, and like I said, if I'm pronouncing his name incorrectly, I apologize. But Michael Spires
Mhm.
is what's considered a bari tenor, so he sings both baritone and tenor repertoire.
Mhm.
And a big highlight for him was when he performed at for the BBC Proms, and he did a couple of collaborations with Classic FM. They have a huge following all around the world, and they're based in the UK. But he did something where in the concert he did the Largo al Factotum from Barbara of Seville, and then he turns around and he does Nessun Dorma from Turandot. And I said, that's fire. He also had an album that came out this year, and it's called Barry Tenor. I was really surprised that he wasn't nominated for a Grammy in the best vocal solo category in classical music. I was surprised by that, but needless to say, he's number two in mentioning them. Uh,
Mhm.
my third one, because I have four, Pretty Yende, South African soprano. And her moment to me was the coronation. Now, I told you this before, Angela. I give her team props because they did so well with her marketing and getting her out there, and especially getting her story out to many outlets, popular outlets.
Mhm.
And then it was learned that after she performed, that her performance or the coronation in as a whole was seen by over 20 million people
Mhm.
in the around the world. I think much over, but I'm not sure of the number.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the Guardian paper if you all want to see what it is. And so I think that her reach was amazing and her talent is amazing. And hopefully that will allow her to, not her in particular, but people to learn more about opera by using her as an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my last one, which was my first pick, okay,
Mm-hmm.
is none other than Renee Fleming. 2023, American Soprano 2023 was her year. It started out in February. She received a Grammy in the Best Vocal Solo category. She did an album that was a collaboration, excuse me, with Yannick Nézet-Séguin, and so she received a Grammy. She also did an excellent performance. She got excellent reviews performing as Pat Nixon and Nixon in China
Mm-hmm.
by John Adams, and did performances throughout. But the cherry on top was the Kennedy Center honor. So I give my flowers to all four of these people. Number one, Victor Ryan Robertson. Number two, Michael Spires. Number three, Pretty Yende. And last but not least, Renee Fleming. All right, I'm done. That's my flowers. Because I want to keep this long. So I said, I'm give it to
Okay.
those four, and that's why.
Okay. Well, my list was very difficult for me. It was very difficult for me to rack go through 2023. And so I do one of my there is a person on my list. There's two people on my list. One is someone that's no longer with us, and
Mm,
one is a former opera singer. Number three on my list is Luciano Pavarotti. He of course look, he's gone. He's been gone almost 10 years, more than 10 years, I think.
mm,
And he still has a reach. He still has a reach. Spotify, through music, through Google, through whatever. Luciano Pavarotti. Now, I chose him
mm.
because I think anybody that's coming up as a singer needs to learn from him.
You better
He
preach.
needs to learn from his business acumen. He
Yes.
believed that opera was for everybody and that it could be taken out of the opera house, which he did. He's the only opera singer to sell out Madison Square Garden. He gave a, I think is a record breaking performance in Central Park for free. It was for free. And anyone, if it wasn't free, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was for free.
Hmm.
He created the Three Tenors concert, which went all over the world,
Yes.
and not and none of the spaces were opera houses. None of the spaces were opera houses, but tens of millions of people bought the CDs, DVDs, recorded, and bought tickets to go,
And still, they're still buying
and still
recording,
buying them. Um,
streaming. Yeah.
the Pavarotti and Friends, that that was something I looked forward to when I was younger to watch. It wasn't to see. It really, for me, it wasn't to see him sing with singers. It was, who was the pop singer that was going to sing with him. That's what impressed me the most. And
Hmm.
he did it in his hometown, and it was for charity and to raise money for children in war torn countries. And so, and he had a commercial, he had a movie, he had this, and he took it out of the opera house. He was vilified for it by the opera files, and you can see all this, and there's numerous documentaries about his career. The one I like is I think it's called Pavarotti Pop Star Pop something.
Hmm.
And then there's the Ron Howard documentary. Any young singer can learn from him. You create your career. You can create your career outside of the opera house. The opera houses are no longer making stars, darling. They're all about making money.
Girl.
Okay. Okay. So
Oh,
I'm
woo.
going to Pavarotti.
Who
That's
said
number
you
three.
there?
Okay, that's number three. Then my number two person is someone who used to be an opera. I just discovered this young lady. Just discovered her. I found her on TikTok. and her name is I don't know what her full name is, but on TikTok her name is Carrie Ann on my OMG, and
Yes,
she is the director of engagement at Delaware Opera. If you have not discovered this young lady, please watch. She is on a mission to make sure that those who have never been to an opera go. Whether it be at Opera Delaware or anywhere else, she is so engaging. Her videos are very funny. She
they
gives
are.
very good information,
Yep,
to people who've never been to the opera. um and she I think she posts something every day,
mm,
stuff about her life, what she and her husband are doing, but she and it's about also about her outfits, whatever she's wearing that particular day. But I think she's very engaging. She doesn't have a I hope she gets a big following after this. She has about a little over 5,000 people who follow her, but I thought she was wonderful. I said, finally somebody who gets it, somebody who's championing for the non-opera, the person who's never been to an opera and always
mm.
been curious about opera and always wanted to go. Do they have somebody in their corner that will help them, guide them through? You know what I mean? I thought she was great. That's my number two, and my last one is not a person, but I want to say it's an entity. I want to say it's the opera audience.
Mm,
Opera audience.
yes,
They spoke volumes this year. I think they spoke volumes, and some houses are listening and
and
some
some
are
are
not.
not.
And some are not.
Say it.
And right.
Yep.
And we know the ones that are not, because the ones that are not are empty. The seats are
Mm,
empty. In
mm.
major productions, the seats are empty, and they're cutting prices on the tickets to get people in the seats. Look, people, look. The audience is telling you, but the audience is trying to tell you, but you're not listening and you don't ask the right questions. The question isn't who is the demographic of the audience, what's the age demographic of this audience now. No, ask the question as to why aren't you coming back. Why did you go to the why did you come to this particular opera in the first place, and did you enjoy yourself, and will you return?
Yeah.
Ask those questions. And if they say no, I'm not coming back, you need to know why, because you want to
Mm,
keep these people who paid their hard-earned money to come see your production and
mm.
came away not feeling elated or having a wonderful time, but feeling deflated and feeling embarrassed, or not, or feeling they don't under, they didn't get it, they don't understand. So I think if these companies would please invest in your audience, it's great to invest in the kids, bringing, exposing kids to opera. I know
Yeah.
they love it, but you have to reach out to the adults who've never been also,
And who spend money?
and who spend money.
Who
These
spend
same
money?
people spend, and don't get me wrong, I'm not downing this person. Some people don't like him, but they spend their hard-earned money to go see Andrea Bocelli.
You better, girl. You better preach.
They go
But
see
people
Andrea.
get so, Angela. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No,
People
go ahead.
get so upset. The opera files, or even the people in the opera bubble,
Yes,
they get so
so upset.
upset when you
I don't know
talk about
why.
that. But
The
it's
man, the man is
true.
he's talented. He's classically trained. He just decided to go a different route. I'm not saying he can't do it, but he's blind.
Yeah.
He's blind. So doing an actual opera for him is a little bit. He's done it, but he can't do it on a continuous basis. So he took a different route and put it in a concert form, and not just sing operatic arias, but he sings art songs and contemporary songs at that. So you can't be mad at him. I'm not mad at him. He's doing what he needs to do. But
Yep.
as a singer, any singer that's coming up, young singer, you can do the same thing. If opera is what you want to be on an operatic stage in every single house there is, go for it. Do it. Do that. Do that. But no, there's other ways of doing things also, of having a career.
So this is a great segue to wind down.
Mhm.
we had this question, and the question was, who controls the opera narrative to the masses? Because a lot of times I think that people are saying that, well, you got to do it one way or you got to do it this way, that way. But I don't think there's a magic bullet to all of this. I think this is a whole different level of marketing. So
Yeah.
that's what I would ask you, because we had a poll, and
Hmm.
we had the poll. It was the four answers that we had was the opera fan, and this is in no particular order: the opera fan, the media, the opera house, or the opera singer.
Hmm.
So that's the question: who is controlling the narrative of opera? Because you had said that yeah, opera companies don't necessarily create stars
Right.
nowadays.
Right.
Okay. All
Right.
right. So if that's the case, then who's controlling the narrative? Because if you look at who people are Googling,
Hmm.
if you get out of the opera bubble,
Hmm.
okay, and I will pause to say thank you to my team for doing this research, because I can't do this stuff by myself. And also thank you to you, Angela, for doing what you do all the time on this platform.
My
But
pleasure.
the question is I see that in the opera bubble, it's the people who are performing today. That's great.
Hmm.
But the folks are not searching for these people.
No.
Maria Callas was the top Googled opera singer
And she
of
did.
the year,
And
and
she did.
she done been dead and gone for a long time.
Right. Right.
Top opera singer on Spotify, top opera singer, one of the top with the most followers on YouTube.
Right.
But folks been saying, Angela, when we put these numbers out, and we have more numbers to put
Hmm.
out, folks are like, that doesn't matter.
But my question is why? People should be asking why she's the top one on Spotify. Why is she the top one being searched? Why does she still have all these followers? Why? And talent, that's moot. That point is moot because she's talented. We know she's talented. She's an opera star. I, I tend to think it's who she was, who she is as a person, who she suffered no fools.
Hmm.
She spoke with her mind. Again, she had a lot of drama because she was married to Aristotle Onassis. There's all that drama.
Yeah.
But that became, but see, that became part of the, I don't want to say culture, but it became part of the narrative for her. She was in the mainstream. I'm not She was also an opera singer, but she was also Aristotle Onassis, who was a billionaire, one of the few billionaires back at that in that time. Uh and because he left her for Jackie Onassis and
Yeah,
all
the
that. That's
scandal.
scandal.
Yeah, the scandal
Scandal
was
is
that
going to
they
get you
weren't
media
married.
coverage.
Right.
Let's call a thing a thing. Scandal is going to get you media coverage. It's just as simple as that. So I think her story is it's still relevant today. Her story is still relevant today. Um,
But somebody is, listen,
you said that me.
this can
You
only,
said the top answer was the media. That's what everyone
the
was. That the
top
top
answer
answer in the
was the
poll. The
media,
media.
was
Yeah,
the
the
media.
media controls it because the media is not interested.
Well, if you look at, okay, and this is what I try to tell my opera friends, and they get in such a tizzy. They're like, it doesn't matter, blah blah blah.
It does
When
matter.
Beyonce, the fact that people are still talking about, and I listen, I think she's a wonderful singer, but I really could care less about her
Mhm,
love life. But there's a system to this.
mhm.
People are still talking about Taylor Swift and
Girl, I
Travis.
told you about Taylor Swift back in the day. I'm gonna tell a story. I'm gonna tell the story. I
Tell
told
it. Tell it.
Tanisha, in order for opera to get back on where it needs to be to get back in the mainstream, Taylor Swift has to date a barahunk. That's what Taylor Swift needs to date a barahunk, because once she started dating, there wouldn't be, wherever he's singing, there wouldn't be a ticket to be had. And Tanisha was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Angela," and boom, look what she did for the NFL.
Look what
Look
she
what she
said.
did
You're
for the
right. I was
single-handedly
wrong.
for the NFL and for the Kansas City Chiefs alone. 800% merch. You know, 800,
I know.
everything is up. Tickets said you
You were
can't find
right.
a ticket to a game because these girls think that, and girls are trying to figure out, how what's this? How is football being played? They watching football, never watched the game before, but just to know that Taylor Swift is in there. See, and that's the power
A
of
celebrity.
celebrity. Yeah, I think, yeah,
Yes.
that's the word. Power of celebrity. So, and I've been saying opera needs a culture injection. It needs
Yes.
a culture injection from somewhere. So you know,
Yes.
I don't want it to be scandal like. I would avoid that, but
Yeah.
it needs someone from the pop, and people are gonna hate me for this, and I don't care. It needs someone from the pop culture to be interested in what's going on in opera for opera to get noticed. So
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, if Taylor Swift if she dated somebody that was a man that was that man, well, he would, first of all, he'd be hired by every house. Okay, he
And they
would be
know the tickets
talented.
will sell.
I'm not gonna. She would date someone that's very talented. That's, that
Of
goes without
course.
saying. But he would be hired by every house because he know that they know that when he comes, she coming, and when she comes, everybody else is coming.
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
And
it's
people
just
gonna want to give money to that. People, and this is another thing I want to say. People give money to what wins
right.
or
They
what
true.
looks like it's winning.
That's true. That's
If
true.
you don't, they say if you don't look like you're winning
Right.
and you begging,
Right.
that doesn't work, dear.
Right.
Not
Right.
with the way the business setup is for opera. So you were right.
Mm-hmm.
You were absolutely, because I did not believe. I was like, I don't think that's gonna work. And I look at
When
the
you have can you
NFL.
imagine, can you imagine if if say, Beyonce decided to go to an opera, not that
Oh
she's,
my
I'm not
God.
saying that she's not interested, or whatever. I have no idea whether she's interested or not, but if she decided to go to an opera, and she wanted to go backstage and see the singers, it would be all, oh my gosh, it would be all over, it would
And
be all over the news.
show it on her Instagram page or her
It would
social
be
media
all
platform.
over. Exactly. And the people like, well, who's this person she went to see, and who was this person she hugged up on? Who was she, giving a hug to, this opera singer? Who was this person? And then they go search who that person is, and say, well, Beyonce really likes her. Let me see. Let me check out and see what this person. Oh, they can really sing, or whatever. It needs some kind of mainstream culture injection
Excitement.
in order of
Excitement.
it to stay alive.
Mm,
We
mm,
cannot go back to the same old before COVID. It was
no.
kind of changing then. It was, I think, it was on the precipice of changing somehow. It was happening very slowly,
Yeah.
but COVID pushed the envelope when everything shut down. So when you come back, you have got to come back with a vengeance. So you have to come back
Mm.
with a vengeance. It cannot be the same as it was before. You have got to do something different. And if doing something different means hiring different people for your marketing, please do it,
The
and do it.
marketing has to change. The marketing has to change not only through the opera company, but
Hmm.
also through the opera singer. See,
Yes.
and that's another thing. If okay, all these operas we had,
Hmm.
Life and Times of Malcolm X.
Hmm.
Malcolm X can't play for the whole season.
Right.
At some point, it's going to stop,
Right.
and they're going to move on to another.
And something
So
else.
if you have that star power, they could move on to another. But there's still a mystique about you that people will be like, well, I still want, well, what are they doing now? Or what are they recording? What
Hmm.
album are they recording? I
Right.
was saying that last night and I said I have to study my habits as an opera lover
Hmm.
and as a person who's an entrepreneur in opera.
Hmm.
I don't know about you, Angela, but I tend to watch the people who are singing today. I go to see them live. I will go to see you live,
Hmm.
if the production is something that I want to see.
Right.
But what I consume on a daily basis, if it's opera,
Hmm.
is not people from today. And
Right.
I'm like asking myself, well, why is that? What
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, the
I don't
OGs,
think I'm
the
the only one.
OGs. I listen to. I mean, I don't. I've never been one to listen to the opera, have opera in my background to listen. I'll say, oh, I want to hear this aria, so I'll listen to it, I'll do that. I don't have it in the background playing all the time, so just
No,
have
no,
it list.
not me.
And of course, I do go to the OGs. I see when I see the opera singers of today, those who are out today, I see them on streaming. I have gone to some HD performances because I live in Charlotte. I'm not in New York. And I've gone to
Mhm,
Opera Carolina to see some performances. Not lately, but I have gone to Opera
mhm,
Carolina to see performances. Um, it there are very few opera singers that are out there that excite me, and I just that make me
mm,
excited. I love good singing. I love good singing.
mm,
Um, um, and I've said this to you before. Angela Mead, and I heard Angela Mead, and I lost my mind. Lost my
mm,
mind. The same time, the same thing I happened when I heard Deborah Voigt for pre-Deborah, heavy Deborah Voigt. When I heard her for the first time, and I completely lost it. I completely lost it. I played that little video. I saw her, oh, maybe 100 times because the voice was just beyond anything. And that's the same way I felt about Angela Mead. Angela Mead voice, her voice is just absolutely gorgeous.
mhm.
Um, and some of these people are not getting they're not getting their due. They're getting hired,
Oh, you
but
get into that now. You
there's
get
no hoopla. There's no, and the other thing is that you have to, as a singer, you're a business. You have to create your own hoopla. To
mm,
get your own, and I
interesting.
say this: if you have the money to do it, if you have the opportunity and the money to do it, hire a publicist. Hire
Yeah.
a publicist. That person is going to make sure that I know one particular singer that hired a publicist, and that person did a fantastic job to the point where this man has a Grammy. To the point
Mm,
has a Grammy. He hired a publicist, and all I saw was boom. This person's doing this. Boom, he's doing that. Boom, he's doing this. Boom, he's doing that. And I was like, okay, he's all over. Oh my goodness, he's all over the place because his publicist. He
yeah.
hired a publicist, and
Mhm.
I think opera singers need to do that. It's an investment in your career, and if you can't figure out how to do it, hire someone else who can. Hire someone who can,
Mm.
even if it's on a event per event level. Like I'm about to do this major. I'm making my debut in this house. Hire a publicist. Can you help me get that out?
And beyond the debut, because that comes and goes. This
No,
is the this
I'm
is
just saying if you don't have the money to hire someone on a consistent basis,
right, right.
if I'm singing at La Scala, let's just say I've done that, but I'm just saying if you're singing at La Scala, that's a big deal. That's a very big deal to be able to be hired by the La Scala stage. So I would want to hire publicists to get that notice out, to get that out.
Mm.
How do I get this out to the other houses? So not just houses, but to the media period to let them know that this is happening. Some may be interested, some may be not. But
So who controls the narrative? Again,
I
who
think
controls
as
the
far as the
narrative?
singer's concerned, they control their own narrative. But once you control your own narrative, you have to find a way to get that narrative to the media. And how do you do that?
See, I don't know.
How do you
It's
do?
not
I
a
think
ma-
part
it's
of that.
not a it's not a magic bullet though.
No,
It's a lot
no.
of factors. And I think that's another thing that's the prevailing theme of 2023. I've seen so many articles about what where opera's going to go and what
Hmm.
it's doing and this and that and that and
Hmm.
this. There's
Hmm.
no magic bullet.
Hmm.
It's so many factors. It's like what you're saying from the singer standpoint. Then
Hmm.
you got the opera house. And then I think we're at a day and time. I'm like
Hmm.
what you to harp on what you were saying.
Hmm.
There are different ways to get out there.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not just the opera company. Opera company is great, but at some point that's going to end.
Yeah.
And I think that the one of the biggest things that that really helped, like Leontine Price, Maria Callas, Montserrat Caballé, list goes on and on, was the fact that they had record deals. Now, I don't know what the business is today because I saw this clip with Snoop Dogg and he said
Talking
the
about the
math
streaming.
ain't mathing. The math ain't mathing with
Hmm.
streaming.
Hmm.
It ain't mathing.
Right.
So I think we have to be as artists in opera, we have to be business savvy.
Yeah.
We gotta be business savvy. And this is why we are creating the Juicy Interludes platform
Hmm.
for people to be able to look at opera from a standpoint of how much money did they make last year? How much money went out? How much,
Hmm.
and knowing the difference between, if an opera company is making revenue, there's a difference between ticket revenue and general revenue. There's a
So
difference. You have to know
general
that.
directors revenue. Let's
That's
no,
that's another story.
that's a whole other story. Folks
You
out
know,
here struggling. Folks out here struggling. Now, granted, what they make before taxes. We know that they get taxed on that money and blah blah blah. But that's
that's
still a lot of money. It's still a lot of money. And um again, there's a clip that I extracted. I have it on my phone. And a lot of people don't like him, but right now. But Placido Domingo, it's from the one of the Pavarotti video films. He
hmm
talked about how you put on an opera production, the last person they think about is the singer. That's the last person.
mm,
He said there's hundreds of other people that have to get paid to put this production together. So he said being an opera singer
mm,
and a full time is impossible to make a full career. But if you think about it, Placido Domingo started off as a singer, then he started conducting, then he started
mm.
became an artistic director, not to just one house but two houses.
Well, look at
General
Renee
director,
Fleming.
huh?
Renee Fleming too.
Yeah,
Renee
that's what I'm
Fleming, did she
saying.
got
That's
up
what I'm
into
saying.
that?
You have to find
Yeah,
other ways
you
to
have
make
to.
money. You going back to back and back to back performances can happen. It doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't
Mhm,
happen on a steady basis. I had about a 2 years, 2 or 3 year stint where I was back to back to back to back to back performances. I missed a lot of Christmases. Missed a lot of
mhm,
Thanksgivings and birthdays and funerals and things like that. Personal things to have that type of career. But that doesn't happen always. There's a time when it stops. So
mhm.
you got to have something else that will monitor that will help you make money. It doesn't have to be singing. It can be singing. It can be singing somewhere else, but it doesn't have to be all singing. It could be something else. But you have to have that to decide. It's very difficult to have a full career, a
Well,
whole career.
nowadays,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
these days, yes, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I learned that too when I first started interning at the Met. I didn't know that was 2010. I didn't know what a plan artist was. I didn't know anything about how chorus people in the chorus were
Hmm.
paid. I
Hmm.
didn't know any of that. But
Hmm.
when I found out, I said that's not for me.
Yeah.
And so that's why I created Opera Talks and I became a librarian. I said,
Hmm.
and I love what I do.
Hmm.
But yeah, you're right. It's not the way that it was back in the day.
No.
We're not in the days of Leontine Price.
Sponsors,
The sponsors,
benefactors,
we
paying for
still
paying
have it. They exist, but
they the
it's
very
not
few and far
very
between.
few.
Very few and far between. It's those people who if you think about it, Leontine didn't have to work a regular job ever.
No, she
Once
didn't.
she started, she didn't have, all she had to do was practice. All she had to do was practice. So as a young singer, a lot of things were paid for her. Her how
Her housing and
I'm talking
stuff.
about early on. I'm talking about early
Right when
early.
she started professionally, because she
Right.
did work. But
Yeah.
you mean like when she professionally got
Right,
into
when
the game?
professionally started, right, right. She
Mhm,
professionally started singing. You
mhm.
have these people that pay for your lessons and pay for your coachings and all that. And because if you're not making that if you're not the lead, if you're not making principal money, this stuff still has to be paid for. So
That's
those
right.
back in those days, they used to be called sponsors and benefactors and people who pay for her evening gowns.
Yeah.
The things that she would have to wear when she would perform. I'm talking about early on. Once she became Lean Teen Price. that money started rolling in, so she could she could take care of all that herself. But when you talked about recordings, yeah, I think a lot of that for some reason has become very scarce. A lot of
Mhm.
what they do now, for instead of it, what they do now is record the performance. They
Yeah,
don't bring them into the studio to sing.
yeah, yeah.
They record the performances now. So the live performances. I don't know if that makes life, if it's cheaper to do it that way,
I think it
or
has to do with money. It has a
yeah,
lot to do with money. Because back in the day, you saw people like you saw a lot of singers, a lot of divas that
yes,
were doing recordings that they did not perform on stage.
right, right. They're in the
You saw
studio.
a lot of that, but
Hmm.
you don't see that now. And
No,
that
yeah.
again, that's another discussion down the line, and
Hmm.
and more research that I would like to learn about with
Hmm.
how does streaming work, because
Hmm.
yeah, like
Hmm.
was the prevailing um quote for entertainment with the strikes and all of that, it was from 2023. And even I don't know if you heard what Taraji P Henson was
Yes,
saying
yes.
about pay,
Hmm.
and Snoop Dogg said it too.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
math ain't mathin'.
Right, right.
It ain't mathin'.
Exactly,
And it's
exactly.
the same like what Taraji said about, she got, you can't just say, well, I got 10 million.
Right.
You have to think about all the deductions you got to make.
Hmm.
And that's the thing that I saw when there was a woman who was in payroll at the Met, and she's no longer there,
Hmm.
but she really helped me to do research on how this works. 'Cause I
Hmm.
didn't know any of that stuff.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
if you're a 1099, you
Hmm.
getting paid, let's say, remember we did the math? You
Hmm.
getting paid $8,000 per performance. You do 10 performances, that's $80,000. You think that that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You start deducting
Start deducting. I did that too in the master class. I did that in the master class. I gave them the top fee at the Met, $16,000.
16,000.
And I was like, okay, that's how you do 10 performances, 160,000. Okay, let the government, Uncle Sam gets his 33%. Then New York gets their percent. If you don't live in New York, then you got to pay in the state where you live. You got to
Mhm.
pay city tax in New York. And
Rent.
people like city tax. Yeah, and then you got to pay rent in two places. If you don't live in New York, you have to pay rent where you're staying and the rent where you live, or mortgage
Mhm.
where you live. Then you have to pay your agent,
Yeah.
because you wouldn't get that gig unless you have an agent.
That's right.
So the agent gets 20, 25% somewhere down the line. After all is said and done, you ended up, after the $160,000 check that you got, you walking away with about 35,000, 40,000.
It said,
you
damn.
know so and there and I saw the kids' faces. I kept deducting their faces, like uh
I said, listen,
nobody
couple
told
weeks
me that
ago, they don't tell you that.
when
And
I was
when
in
you
school.
ask people,
Mm-mm.
like I do with opera, I do opera programs, by the way, everybody, for different organizations, hence opera talks, especially in libraries. And I asked them, I said, how much do you think an opera singer makes? They were like, millions of dollars, millions. Oh, really? All right, let me put that math out there.
Right,
I said
right,
the math ain't mathing.
right.
And they just sitting there like,
Yeah, this is not
you know,
Hollywood. This is not Hollywood. No.
this is not Hollywood. So
Mm-mm.
I think to because we you and I could talk forever, and
Yeah, yeah.
we're running over time. But
Right.
I think again we have to think beyond the opera house.
Mm-hmm.
We have to think beyond
Luciano,
the
follow
opera house.
that formula.
We
Follow that
have
formula.
because I liken this to like the symbol of, if you take a crystal ball, you put $110,000 in that crystal ball, and it churns,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is I liken that to the opera bubble. It's not going anywhere. It's going to churn and churn and churn in that crystal ball. It's going to stay in that glass.
Mm-hmm.
We have to break out.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
have to do that, because if we don't,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think opera would die. And this is a good segue to end this.
Mm-hmm.
My prediction is that a lot of larger companies are going to cut the number of performances that they do.
Mm-hmm. As they
And
should.
that's what I think is going to happen. if they don't figure out a way to get it out of the opera crystal ball, where everybody
Hmm.
knows what's happening, and to reach
Hmm.
out, that's what's going to happen, because you can't keep bleeding money. You can't. At some point, you have to cut it.
They,
So that's my
yeah.
2024 prediction. What about you?
I agree. Would cut down the amount of performances or cut down the amount of
I
productions.
think both.
They had, yeah, the productions need to come down. Everybody's not, they say they played it. They do the same, the ones that everybody loves, La Boheme, Turandot, all that stuff. Blah blah blah. Um, I think it needs to go back to a break where they used to be have a break in the middle of the season, like a nice long, like a 2 month break or something like that.
Mm,
Um, if they're prepared, if they prepare everyone else ahead of time for that, because people looking for their paychecks. So if you have a 2 month break coming up, let's just say a winter break, February, March, or January, February, something like that. You can prepare for that in the fall and stash money away and blah blah blah.
mm,
Hopefully, I mean, I don't live in New York anymore, so I don't know, and I can't. I don't know what the course is getting paid or anything like that. But yeah, it's either they have to find a way to people, reach out to new people.
mm-hmm,
Um, Singers have to find a way to get themselves noticed to the public, get themselves noticed to the public. That's a whole other thing. That's a whole
yeah,
other. I know
that's
we'll
a
go
whole
deep in
other
that.
issue.
But if something doesn't, a shift doesn't happen, 24 is going to be worse than 23.
Mm.
If there isn't a shift that happens, I don't know what that shift needs to be. Maybe, like I said, maybe some kind of culture injection, something that's anybody that's watching this that's in pop culture, and if you enjoy opera, let us know. Do a
Yes,
video, do something. I know there are quite a few celebrities that go to the opera. Put something up, and do a PSA and say, go just try it out once. Go to the opera, see if you like it.
yeah.
If you don't like it, then fine, but just go, and you may just find an art form that you really enjoy. Really enjoy. And so I think I saw another gentleman, and maybe you posted this, I'm not sure, but he was no, it was Carrie Ann. Oh my God, she was interviewing a gentleman, and he said he sings to, I'm paraphrasing, he sings opera to give people experiences. It's about the experience. It's not about all the hoopla and you know it's an experience for people. And the singing part is an experience. It's not like a musical where you have dialogue and all this other stuff, and
Yeah.
it's a different experience than for musical theater, but it's an experience in its own. So yeah, let's end on that. I think that if they don't figure out a way to garner new audience members
That come back.
that
See,
come
that's
back.
the thing. It's
Yeah,
not just, and that's the thing. The experience is one thing, but consuming, you
yeah,
have you know how much of a numbers person I am.
yeah.
Consuming it,
Hmm.
we have to get honest. Like the way we started this, and you were talking about us coming out of the pandemic shutdown
Hmm.
and people not being comfortable going out, and then there are
Hmm.
people who are.
Yeah.
You have to give people a way to consume your stuff, even if they're
Hmm.
not in the opera house.
Yeah.
And they do have that.
Yeah.
Opera companies have streaming and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you
San
got to give
Francisco.
me,
That
yeah,
was smart.
the Met too. The
Hmm.
Met has streaming, La Scala, Royal Opera House, Carnegie Hall. But you have to give me a reason. Why should I watch this when
Hmm.
I can watch Netflix?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. Why
Yeah.
should I watch this? So
Or
I
I can
think
watch Renaissance. I can go to movie theater. I can go see. I was at the concert, and now I'm going to see it
now I'm
spend
going
my
to see it.
money and go see it in the movie theater.
That's money twice.
Yeah. See.
That's money twice.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is
Yeah.
we have to come down to the why. But anyway, yeah,
Hmm.
we're way over time, but I want to. I want to wish you all a wonderful 2024. I'm so
Yes, I'm
happy that
here.
this finally worked
Yeah,
out.
yeah, it did. It did. I'm
Because
glad
y'all, I
to.
was stressing out, y'all. I was really stressing out. I'm really because I was like, I was trying to wing it. And I said, but there's just Angela and I have such wonderful conversations. Also, go to our Juicy Interludes podcast
Mhm.
page
Yes.
and you could follow because there will be more, even more
Mhm.
content. You're going to see us doing more
Mhm.
conversations.
Yep.
And I just want to thank you all, to the team, to Angela.
Thank
Thank you all from
you.
the bottom of my heart.
Thanks to the
And
team
thank
too.
you all for following us
Yeah.
and telling us what you think about our
Yes, please tell
content.
us what you think. Give it. We love honest
Please,
opinions. Yes, yes. It may not,
please
and
tell
your
us what
opinion
you
may not
think.
agree with what we said tonight, and
And
that's
that's
okay.
fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're fine with not agreeing.
Yeah.
We are, we
Absolutely.
are,
Absolutely.
so thank you all so much. So
Happy
I'm
New
gonna
Year, everybody. Happy,
happy
safe,
new
and
year.
blessed New Year.
Happy 2024. Bye.